Dennis and I are back. We are here in lovely Atlanta, sort of Georgia, a little north. Suburb-ish. And we just got dinner at probably one of the best Chinese buffets I've ever been to. And we had a really good conversation around the recent Super Bowl ads that I wanted to discuss on the podcast. Specifically the Super Bowl ads that Claude/Anthropic have been releasing as kind of an anti-campaign against the new development that OpenAI, ChatGPT is going to start placing ads within their responses. And I wanted to get Dennis's thoughts on it, and we had a very brief conversation that we wanted to save to the podcast to bring over. So my initial question to Dennis was, what do you think about the Super Bowl ads that actually portrayed this kind of tongue-in-cheek way of how Anthropic thinks, or maybe the public thinks, OpenAI is going to start implementing ads into their models?
Well, I think it's deliciously ironic because Anthropic is one of the most misanthropic names on the planet, and you saw Anthropic was suing these other model condenser companies for, synthesizing Anthropic's rules and creating these condensed versions. And the funny thing is that it was Anthropic that's been stealing money and had to pay, a $1.5 billion settlement for stealing all of these, because where do you think these LLMs learn from, right? So then they're suing other people for the content that they sued. Yeah. And now they run a Super Bowl ad, which they stole from a Black Mirror episode on Netflix, where the story, if you watch it, I forgot, like season 7, episode 1, whichever one it was, this woman becomes hospitalized, but they have to pay for this subscription in order for her to regain her brain function. But then it comes with ads. You got to pay more to have the one that doesn't have the ads. So then they run the Super Bowl ads showing like this dude is like super buff, and he's coaching the guy, but then in the middle of it he says he promotes some product, right? And that's the way of saying you can't trust ChatGPT, because if it's got ads in there, it's giving you advice, but in the middle there all of it says, hey George, are you looking to whatever and promote some product? So I just think it's deliciously ironic, and to your point, a lot of people are going to fall for that.
I was saying,
they don't know any better.
Exactly. And I think that I was saying how I think that they accomplished exactly what they were trying to accomplish in that campaign, and they reached the market that they exactly were trying to reach. The moment, or the day that those came out, in my ad and promo class the very next day, and in my senior seminar class in marketing, we talked about it. And it every point that the professor and the students commenting on the ad was making was exactly what they wanted them to think. And I was like, damn, they did it. They did it. Which is, it's impressive, because this campaign was an extreme success. And since then, people have not stopped talking about Anthropic and Claude and all of the things that have happened since then. So I think it worked. It did what they wanted it to do, but I thought it was really interesting because we also talked about how OpenAI actually ended up rolling out ads into their responses, and it wasn't in the tongue-in-cheek way. And Sam Altman commented on this in his essay that he wrote in response to the ads. But it's not like in the middle of a response it's going to say, hey, you're looking for fitness help, why don't you try 24-hour fitness? They're not actually. There's the response section, which is organic, based on the actual model, and then below that there's the sponsored results section, much like there is in Google, where sponsored results show up at the top, all the organic stuff shows up below that. I think it does have something to say, though. I do think it hit Sam Altman it hit a nerve for him, because you don't write a 5 or 6 paragraph essay on someone else, on a competitor's commercial, unless it strikes a nerve. So
it was intentionally antagonistic what Anthropic did. And Anthropic, when Dario was asked on TV, so are you targeting OpenAI? It's like, oh no, we're not targeting any. Like, obviously you are, right? Because you're trying to avoid a lawsuit, even though you're trying to poke fun at them.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what all the big companies always say. Oh no, it wasn't about anybody. But come on. So we were also talking about in the restaurant how it's interesting, because it's slightly hypocritical of Anthropic to be so critical of OpenAI about these ads and how that's unethical or how it's, pick a term. But because of the recent development that they've had with their government contracts.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit about
Yeah.
the government contracts that Anthropic has and kind of the controversy there and where that ended up going?
Yeah, so you guys know Maduro was captured in Venezuela, and that was largely because of Anthropic's models. Now, what the general public doesn't know is that there are models several generations ahead that we don't have access to.
Yeah.
And the government it's not public, but they're on Claude 5.0 or whatever and that has extra capabilities that are beyond, way beyond what we get is just the leftovers, right?
Right.
They're operating on their own hardware, and so Anthropic, whatever political side you're on, has been in bed with the Department of Defense, $200 million a year contract.
Yeah.
And if I just raised $30 billion and I needed the money and I was trying to create market share and I was subsidizing Claude Max for thousands of dollars per month, selling something that costs $3,000 or $4,000 a month for $200 a month, which is why our people are using that, then I need to bring in cash to overcome the huge loss. Just like OpenAI is bleeding billions of dollars a month.
This is why they started
people
putting
that are
ads
using
in there.
their free thing, just like Google is free because they have ads, right? So it's a little disingenuous to then try to attack OpenAI when they themselves are powering the Department of Defense doing things that, if we're let out into the public, are a little questionable and create outrage. So then what Dario has to do, Amodei, the founder of OpenAI, of Anthropic, is say, well, we draw the line because we don't want autonomous killing and we don't want surveillance of the American public. Well, that's just a superficial construct, because if you're processing all that data, at what point do you draw the line saying that that's actually a kill decision or that's an American? Well, in order to determine whether it's an American citizen or not, you have to first identify them. So either way, you have to ingest the data to be
You've
able
already
to determine
infiltrated
what it
at
is.
that point.
Yeah, because without the data, without labeling, you have to have ingested them in order to label them, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be a data engineer to know that that's the case.
Yeah, you can't just pick them out of a crowd and say, yep, that's that person, without already having the data.
So you want to monitor foreign nationals and terrorists or whatever. Well, guess what? You have to bring in all the people and then identify who is in and who is out. Now, at what point in the stack does that occur? Does that occur in the raw data ingestion? Does that occur in the training set? Does that occur in the inference level? At what point does that occur? So it's really a distinction without a difference by saying we stand for our values and we're not going to relinquish to the federal government, and you're just playing to the public that's too ignorant to understand what actually occurs and how these models operate. If you're an engineer and you know how the models operate, you realize there's a key distinction between how OpenAI and Anthropic operate. For example, OpenAI, in their training and in their model, they don't have values distinctions that are built in that. They have it in a rules layer that sits above that. So that's why Sam Altman, as devious and whatever you can say about him, independent of that, from a pure architectural standpoint, Sam Altman can do that deal because he doesn't specify the rules ingrained down here. The reason Anthropic can't do this deal is because they can't change what's already, they'd have to retrain, rebuild their entire platform to do that, and it's too expensive and they can't do that. And I wish Sam Altman would come out and say that, but these guys are playing at the public level. They're playing for what the general public cares about, so they're not going into a technical distinction, which is the stuff that I care about.
And at the end of the day, it's the stuff that actually makes a difference too. And it's the stuff that real people are actually impacted by, but they don't know that because, no one off the street is going to know the difference between the data layer and then the training and then the rules layer and then all these other,
They don't even know what inference is.
They don't know what it is.
Versus
which is
training.
They don't need to know, but at the same time.
Well, if you want to have an opinion, then you do need to know about that.
And you have to understand how the models actually work to then to be able to decide, okay, it makes sense that OpenAI is so. They're getting in a tussle about this because they understand the concept of what you just laid out, but the public does not.
And it looks like poor timing where, the day where Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth say, oh, Anthropic, you guys are crazy, liberal, woke, whatever. And it just happens to be the next day they have a deal with Sam Altman.
Right.
And so even Sam said, it looks like we're being opportunistic, but this deal was already in the works.
Yeah, deals like that don't happen in a day.
And in the world of politics, you guys know not to trust what the politicians say. Everything was already, the chess game was played out months ago.
Months in advance. And it just happened to be that this dropped when
Yeah.
it did. I think the problem that we were discussing most in this restaurant was you're then giving power when in context of the deal with Anthropic, with the government being able to survey, Anthropic saying, no, you can't use our models for autonomous killing or surveying of American citizens.
Yeah.
You're then giving this power to private.
Right.
Right? And then that essentially, like, we all know that people don't like giving ethical dilemma power to a private for-profit company.
Now, you just bought a car a couple days ago.
I did.
Now, imagine that Mazda put in some rules saying, there's certain things you can do and not do, and like the car will stop in the middle, like you're not allowed to speed because that's breaking the law. How would you feel about that?
I would be a true red-blooded American and say they're taking away my freedom.
Yeah. And what if the car was somehow able to determine whether maybe you had like an extra drink or two or whatever it might be, or you said something bad about your girlfriend while you were driving, but I mean, that's not within the automaker doesn't have the right to determine that. The manufacturer of the knife, the gourmet knife in the kitchen, doesn't get to decide how you might, like obviously you should not use the knife to go kill people, right? But it's not the knife manufacturer's purvey to say what you can and can't do.
Right.
And so that's what's going on right now with these different models.
Right.
They think they're higher than the law. They can overrule the legislature.
Which we've seen they kind of can, because they have the lobbying power and they have the funding and they have honestly the reach and influence to be able to do these things. I mean, you see the rooms that Sam Altman's in. Mm-hmm. You see the rooms that Dario's in.
Yeah.
You have to assume, I mean, we're getting speculative here, but I mean, you have to assume that there's some sort of poking that's going on.
Someone asked Elon Musk, saying, well, Elon, what's it feel like to be the richest man in the world? And he's like, I am not the richest man. Putin has way more money and power than me, right? Can I command these certain kinds of actions, right? So you could argue that technically Trump and whoever's controlling Trump has the power to decide more than Altman or Dario or these other people.
Fair.
I think there's a level above Silicon Valley moguls in power, for
I think
sure.
that's 100% true. Where do you see this coming into actual consumers, actual business owners who use this technology? How does this trickle down? I mean,
doesn't matter.
Because at the end of the day,
for consumer tech, it's watered down to the point where it doesn't matter if you really like Gemini or Anthropic, like what Grok, like they're all this, at the consumer level. It's all the same. All the LLMs. That's why you see the leapfrogging. Like today, OpenAI launched 5.4, and people are freaking out. Oh, it's the game changer. It's the next best thing. And then
game changer.
Last week it was this, and then next week it's that. And people have whiplash. No, you got to switch everything over to Gemini because they just launched their thing. No, switch back to Claude. No, switch to ChatGPT. Now go to... You know what? These guys are all kind of circulating against each other. They're all moving in the same direction. We know what that path is. We know where that's going for the next 36 months. All these other mosquitoes are only looking like 3 feet ahead of where they are. So consumer tech doesn't matter. Because they're like every time one has an increase, they can release they're all literally going down this. Why? Because if you understand what an LLM is, which is a word probability calculator, they have to do the same thing. What are they going to do? Increase the context window. Increase multimodal outputs. So between video and audio and whatever it is, increase memory, increase the number of connectors and agents, both the inputs and the outputs on what it can do and what can it ingest. Those, it's not because they're all copying each other. It's because that's literally the architectural construct of what an LLM does. What any piece of technology has an input, a processing layer, and an output. So you can make the model stronger. You can have more inputs, or you can have more outputs, like things it can do.
Yeah.
And that's why they're all following each other.
Yeah.
Because that's what they have to do.
Yeah. And one of them just happens to get a leg up in one of those sectors before another.
Yeah.
And then they all catch up, and then another one leapfrogs the other one, and then it's just this continuous cycle. Where do you see that going? Like 2 years from now, where do you see the end goal or the end of the line for these models?
I'll say something I don't hear other people say. So if we look at it strategically, ChatGPT has 1 billion users. They have 78% of the users in the world of people that are, you could argue that the Anthropic is going against the business users who are arguably worth more, kind of like Microsoft went after the business users with Office and SQL Server and that kind of thing.
Not the consumers.
But because OpenAI has the brand and the consumer lead and more users, that naturally leads towards an ad-supported model.
Right.
And it also leans towards context lean inference.
Yep.
Which is why they rushed out 5.0 very early, claiming they have a new model when really it was just a way to become more economical on tokens.
Yep.
So if they know that they can't keep up with the processing, because more users are coming in and the ad-supported thing's not going to catch up in time, what do they have to do? Well, let's try to lock these users in. So if I'm Sam Altman, I'm thinking, he's not dumb. We need to have better memory. So once it knows who you are, it's like a loyal girlfriend. You're not going to want to dump that girlfriend, even if this other girl's hot, right? Hotter than your current girlfriend, but you're loyal to this girlfriend because it knows you and all that. And so this is my speculation, but I think it's true. And logically, you can sort of reason it out. They have over-prioritized memory to increase the switching cost. But if you look at Anthropic and Gemini, what level of memory persistence do you see?
Right.
Almost none.
Right. Especially in Anthropic.
Because what are they trying to do? If they're going for the business customer, they're trying to go for longer processing, longer state continuance, being able to see a task through, being able to get a business result, less like being able to reason with you and lie to you and that kind of thing.
More the output, right? What it can do, what it can go out and accomplish.
Because that user will pay more.
Right.
And so just like the way Uber launched.
Yeah.
When Uber launched, they were losing money, losing billions.
For years.
Yeah, because they wanted to get to market share.
Yeah.
They intentionally went around the government because they thought, we'll just launch and then fight the government versus try to seek permission before launching.
Right.
So that's like an Altman strategy.
Yeah. Does Uber even make money anymore? Like, do they?
I think they turned the first profit last quarter. Something
really?
Like that. Yeah.
How many?
Still?
Like 10 years later, 15 years later.
I mean, they had to pay for lobbying. They literally had to give out all these bonuses that came out of their profit. But why do you think Claude 20X Max is $200?
User base.
Incredibly cheap.
They're trying to gain users.
And Perplexity is selling their Perplexity Max thing at $200. And they're giving 35,000 free tokens in addition to the 10,000 tokens per month? Yeah. How is that? That's like eating at the Chinese buffet, like a good one, for like $4. Like, you can eat the buffet. All you want, steak, everything, for $4. And you're like, it's like a $50 buffet. Like, how is this possible? It's because they're trying to build a market share. Right. Just like with Uber. Uber was willing to lose money so that they could prevent Lyft from being able to operate in other countries and whatnot.
Right. And I know that you say that ChatGPT and OpenAI has the user base right now, and that obviously, like we said, supports them to be a lot more consumer heavy, a lot more ad heavy, because they have the data and they also have the users and the consumers to consume that. Right. And therefore they'll get paid for it. And more partnerships and more things that happen when you have a larger user base. You can negotiate lots of deals. Exactly. Yeah. We just saw today that they've integrated so many more apps and connections than what we saw 2 months ago. Right. Partially because they are trying to increase the amount of loyalty, like you said.
It's a two-sided network.
Exactly. We want to know more about you. We want to get all of the things that you use into our system, into our database.
Their biggest asset is the user base. They're willing to lose money. And if you know how private equity valuations are, it's between like $150 to $1,000 per user. Yeah. And I think... For a free user. And then a paid user can be worth $10,000. Yeah. So if you can acquire a paying user and you lose $500 in the process, and they just raised $100 billion last week. Crazy.
Yeah.
Then you can afford to do that. How do you think Salesforce or HubSpot or those guys got other SaaS? You have a SaaS company.
Yep.
What is the typical financial path of a SaaS company? They lose money. All the way, even up to the point they get acquired. They just lose increasing amounts of money.
Yep.
Because the LTV gets stacked further and further onto the future. That's the big bet.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with LLMs, except it's a longer terminal value component, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have this theory that you talked about today about how, in the end, whatever you want to call the end, you think Grok is going to come out on top.
Yeah.
I have a theory that I think Gemini is going to come out on top because I think Google has more resources and more manpower. We both have very valid arguments here, but I think...
I'm a search engine engineer, so
right.
I'm typically biased towards the search engine.
Right, right. I think Gemini is going to win out in the end, whatever you want to call that, because I think, A, they have the infrastructure and the... Okay, maybe not.
They're the leader in TPUs.
They're the leader.
TPUs happen to be good for inference.
Exactly, exactly. And they also have, I think they're winning the data game.
That's true.
You think about data and you
They've
think about...
won the information game, for sure.
You think about what does a model need to be personalized to a consumer?
Right.
Well, it needs data about what you watch. It needs data about what you look at. It needs data about what you search.
Yes.
It needs data about what you work on.
Yes.
Google
but you know
has...
the most valuable data?
What?
Is what you buy. Your actual purchase data.
They have that
It's worth
too.
way more than the other data.
And they have that.
Sort of.
They do. They do. Look at Google. Look at all of the Google shopping that has come out over the last
versus
2 years.
Visa or MasterCard or Amazon.
They don't have models,
or Apple.
Though. But they don't have models. They're not in this game.
Are they?
Apple. Tell me the last time you used Apple Intelligence for anything.
Well, to your point, who did Apple concede the AI game to?
Fair.
Google, which hurt OpenAI.
Yeah. I think Google is winning the information game, and I think they're winning the consumer data game.
Yes.
Because they have all this information.
Yes.
You make the argument that Grok is going to win out in the end because they will be the first to develop the infrastructure, the physical, actual electrical grid infrastructure necessary to power everything.
Right.
To power all the models.
Right.
Because SpaceX just bought xAI, and SpaceX is now experimenting with building data centers and power grids in space.
Yeah.
Right? You think that they're going to be successful in that. I'm weary, but I'm also always conservative about that sort of thing, and you have a lot more experience in this than what I do. So talk to us about why you think Grok is going to eventually level the playing field.
It's not what I say. So if you look at what Jensen Huang, the founder of NVIDIA, Sam Altman, the CEO of Microsoft, even Bezos, even the chairman of Google, and all these guys, they have said the limiting factor right now is physical electrical.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's it's so the layers are the electrical power to do this. So you know how long it takes to bring on a nuclear power plant, right? Then from there, it's having the chips to turn on. You could have all the chips, but if you don't have the electricity, you can't turn them on.
Can't turn them on, yeah.
And then above that are the models.
Right.
Right? And then above the models are all the agents and SaaS programs and all these things that, robots and cars and all these things that come from there.
Yeah.
But you're bottlenecked down right now by electricity. And if you look at models becoming more sophisticated, more compute that's necessary, and this war race, this arms race we see that's occurring, Elon looked at it on first principles and said, well, the constraint is electricity. There's not enough terrestrial electricity. Now, China's been building nuclear. I mean, they're
crazy.
They're at like, 3 terawatts, and the U.S. is 1 terawatt, and they're expanding, and we didn't expand under Biden, and regardless of your political point of view. But because of the bureaucracy and regulation, they're like Facebook, Meta is trying to set up power plants. All these guys are building power plants. And, in Tennessee, Elon set up, Colossus 1, and they're building Colossus 2. And they just can't get the electricity online fast enough. Google has their own data centers. Google invented, they have a patent for data centers and containers that they float outside the harbor. Did you know that? All that stuff, right? But they can't solve the power problem. The only way to solve the power problem is you have to have the data center in space, because in space, you don't need storage. It's on 24/7. There's no disruption with weather. It's immediate cooling because you have 0 degrees in space. The other side, like one side, the other side of the panel, 0 degrees.
Yeah.
And plus, if you have, Starlink and whatever, you can transmit that compute immediately to whoever needs it.
Yeah.
Right?
And you have unlimited power because you have solar powered everything.
Yeah.
And it's always on.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, where do you think that leaves the current state of the companies that are trying to build this electricity and build this infrastructure here? Everyone has been saying...
there's only 3 players that can play this game.
Exactly.
You have to be a $1 trillion company to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And everyone's been saying that the real money, like, okay, yes, they raise $1 billion in a week or $100 billion in a week.
Sure.
They do all this stuff.
That's
Great.
not enough. OpenAI had a $1.4 trillion commitment for capital.
Right. But everyone's saying that the real money is in the data center. The real money is in the electricity and being able to build that and infrastructure. Right?
Look at the valuation of those companies.
That's what I was just about to ask you, is where does this trickle down into, okay, great, the valuation of these models are growing massively, but the real money is where? Well, you follow it down. You follow the funnel, right? You follow where, just like you said, you have the SaaS, you have the model, you have the data center, you have the TPU,
And so that's why there's concern right now in Wall Street about the AI bubble.
Yeah.
Because where did the $100 billion come from for OpenAI? It wasn't just free money.
No.
It was based on contingency, on buying chips and buying data centers.
Exactly.
So it's like, I will invest $50 billion if you commit to turning that $50 billion back into buying data centers and power and other things for me.
Exactly.
So that's the thing that's caused Wall Street. So at the big Saudi Arabia summit a month and a half ago, they asked Elon and Jensen both on stage, and both of them were very optimistic about how this was a true need, and there's plenty of compute that's still necessary, and it's not just speculative. But then
says the founder of the company who
2
provides
weeks ago,
all of the compute.
NVIDIA sort of changed their thing.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you guys were going to invest $100 billion, and then Jensen said, "Well, we're committing. We said we would commit up to $100 billion over the course of whatever, but this current round we're putting in $10 billion."
Yeah.
Right. So you had to back that one.
Only
back.
$10 billion.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Interesting.
And so both of those companies' stocks took a hit.
Yeah.
Because it was only $10 billion.
Only 10. What are you going to do with $10
billion?
billion?
Game. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to do with $10 billion? You can't do anything with $10 billion these days. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this is all high-level conversation that really doesn't affect base users.
Right.
Like someone who's using ChatGPT to write their emails or to review their spreadsheet or whatever, or these companies that are using these AI models to power their SaaS or whatever, right? Like this really doesn't affect them that much. I mean, in the end, right, there's going to be models that fall, there's going to be ones that rise. But why should any normal consumer care about news like this or care about the happenings of what's going on in the AI world?
Because when these big giants fight each other, they're willing to fight to the death. And so one of the co-founders of Google said that this AI game is a must-win. We will spend all the cash. I don't know how much extra cash Google has. They probably have like $100 billion in cash on hand, something like that, right? They're willing to burn all of it. So what does that mean for us? It means if these guys are willing to fight to the death, they're willing to discount the thing to the point where we, as consumers and small business owners, can win. Yeah. So, whether you like or hate Anthropic, I kind of hate Anthropic for various reasons, which is a whole nother thing, but they're giving away, like, I burned 150 million tokens in the last week.
Yeah.
Okay? I paid $200 per month. So I paid $60 to burn 150 million tokens.
Yep.
And for those who don't know what that means, that's like $6,000 of processing, right? If you were to run that. So basically all these guys are fighting each other. Do you remember when like Lyft and Uber were fighting each other and they was like $50 ride credit or do this, like $10 off your next ride? Because like Uber would see that I was riding Lyft, like, they did these things against each other, and they're like, "Oh, Dennis, your next ride is half off." Okay, so I'm happy to accept all the free things that are coming in. So instead of like fighting over, Opus 4.6 is better than OpenAI 5.2 or whatever, that doesn't matter. That changes every week. Instead, I'm like, who has the best deal?
Right.
Who's giving me free money right now?
The deal guy.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
So practically speaking, if you're a little guy or you're a student or you're in some other country and whatever, then if I have no money, then I'm going to use ChatGPT for free because it's subsidized. I'll use the free one, and yes, they'll have ads, whatever, right? If I'm a small business owner and I can afford $20 a month, then I'll use Claude Pro or I'll use the OpenAI one.
Yep.
If I'm someone who actually wants to get into AI and wants to learn or want to train my kids or whatever it is, I'm going to go for, or like a real business owner and you care about this thing, you can spend at least an hour a day in it, then for the next 6 to 12 months, I'm going to do the $200 a month 20x Claude Max plan, which sounds like a lot of money. But once you realize what the stuff can do, it's like imagine having 6 people working full time for you.
Right. It's not a lot of money when you actually use it.
If you use it.
If you use it. If you're just spending $200 a month to let it read your emails and do your spreadsheets, like, okay, use ChatGPT free or pay the $20 a month for Pro.
Sure.
Like, if you're going to be using it like how we discussed today with Brad Strawbridge in Capital City.
To actually build our businesses and do stuff and do marketing and do anything that can be done through a computer, like answer the phone or anything that can be done through a computer, if you can replace 1 or 2 people or would like to replace 1 or 2 people and you don't even know how, you can ask the AI, like we talked about in the podcast, AI, explain to me how do I do that? What is Vercel? What is, you know?
Yeah, that was funny hearing him talk about that.
Yeah. What do you mean my GitHub?
What's GitHub?
Yeah.
Trust me, I asked the same question about 4 months ago. I was like, GitHub, what's that? I think that the biggest, we always talk about pricing wars, and this is kind of traditional economics, traditional business school talk. We always talk about how pricing wars end up, there's never a winner at the end of a pricing war.
No, we win.
I think,
Because we take the VC money. It's great.
Exactly. I think that there's, yes, in an ideal, like in a perfect economic world, yes, okay, the pricing war ends up fizzling, and then there's this, whatever. But I mean, as we saw with Uber and Lyft, it does level out. It does stop eventually. And at the end of the day, the consumer ends up winning because they end up getting all of this free value that just came out of nowhere. Because,
so it happens with competition.
Because 2 people are fighting.
Yeah.
And so, at least 2. And so with these models, I see that happening. I see them getting more and more accessible for small business owners. I see the resources that not only the models come out with, but that the 1 degree shift away from the models, the people that support these models or the people that use them on the day-to-day basis, like myself, like you, the resources that we develop for them are going to get better and better because then we will have more ability to use the 20x max plan and say, oh my God, look what we can do for $200 a month. Here's how you go do that. I think the consumer value is going to skyrocket. Eventually someone's going to crack. Something is going to crack, whether that's infrastructure, whether that's one of the companies is going to fail, whatever it is.
It's already happening, but
Something's going to crack and the playing field's going to level. But at the end of the day, when you're a business owner or you're a student or like you said, whatever you are, I think that the goal for you should not be to worry about, like you said, Opus 6 or Opus 4.6 or Gemini's, but the benefit and the value that you can derive from this is number 1, get all of that deal value that you can extract from whatever model is the best deal, because at the end of the day, they're all the same.
Right.
Then take all of that excess value that you're pulling from these companies and take all of that excess value that you're pulling from these models and pulling from these businesses that they are giving you for free.
That's right.
And learn a skill. Use it to build up your own skill set so then when everything does settle, have something to show for it. You weren't just messing around with these models, playing with dumb stuff that doesn't mean anything. You've built some sort of skill set, you've built some sort of resource that you can then leverage, no matter what model is left.
That's right.
You can use something, you can have a skill that is universal across models. Would you agree?
No.
You wouldn't agree?
Because I'm an Asian, I'm really good at acquiring skills and getting A's. If you look at my report cards and SAT scores and all that, right? Very good at studying and gaining skills.
Okay.
Now I realize my workers have the skills, and they're human and non-human workers. And what I am is I'm a manager. I am the owner of the business. I'm managing assets, and what I'm doing is I'm leveraging all the free money and things that are coming from these giants that are fighting. I'm using them to build my team. So I'm creating these team members, and we name them Jennifer and Ethan, and they all have these different roles. We give them a name, give them a whole personality and that kind of thing. And as the models get better, my workers get better. I'll be paying them less maybe over time. I'll have more of them. They'll start to coordinate between each other, which is called orchestration and that whole kind of thing. But for now, the most practical thing is, what is the thing that you and I and you guys do to create value? Is there a product or service? Are there marketing tasks that you would like to have done? What are things that are not being done that could be done? Is there things to, can you improve your customer experience? Can you fix the website? Can you do social media? Can you do product development? Can you survey your customers? Can you analyze like what people think and come up with better variations of your stuff? What are things that you can do to improve your business if you had the most intelligent people in the world working for you for $5 or $6 a day, right? That's what I would be working on. Whatever you create value, if you're an entrepreneur, you make more money by doing that thing more times.
Yeah.
So you have a SaaS company serving, let's say, roofers and fencing companies. Well, great. If you were to serve 10 times more roofing companies, 10 times more, whatever, what would need to happen inside your organization? That's what I would be focusing on.
Would you not say that that's still building a skill, though? Being able to understand how to use and manage these agents?
I view it, so a skill, I think, is typically tied to a person.
Okay.
Like knowing something, being able to pass an exam on something.
Right.
A capability is something that's the property of an asset. So if you step out of your business and you go on vacation for a month to go to the aquarium with your girlfriend or whatever, let's say she really loves the aquarium, you spend a whole month there.
She would spend a whole month at the aquarium.
Can your business operate without you, with you gone for a whole month?
Right now, no.
No. So you need to build the capability of your business to operate. And so the biggest jump or disconnect or barrier I see is people who've been employees working for a paycheck, nothing wrong with being an employee, but in order to be a business owner owns an asset. You're independent of the asset. Like I own shares in Tesla. Right. The Tesla shares I own are an asset. I do not have to work on Tesla cars for me to get a dividend as a shareholder. Right. If you own a business, forget the vanity and like you're working in the business and there's like, forget about being a manager or a worker, forget about even if the business is just you. In order for you to have ongoing value to scale your business, you have to be able to extricate yourself from the business. Like you're the surgeon hovering like 10 feet above your body on the operating table or whatever, and you look at your whole business from above and all the machinery and all the gears and all that. How can you improve and scale that business without you needing to be involved? What has to happen process-wise? Are there people that are bottlenecks? Are you a bottleneck? Are there things that can be done better? Yeah. Are there things where you need more people to do that thing or more machines to do that thing? That's the way you look at it. And you find out where the bottleneck is. And if you don't know where the bottleneck is, like we talked about earlier, feed all your data into the AI and say, I was watching this podcast with George and Dennis, and they said, we need to figure out where the bottleneck is. I don't know. I can upload my QuickBooks. I can upload my HubSpot and CRM and Slack and whatever. You tell me, where do you think the bottleneck is in my business? And go ahead and create an agent to fix that. Where am I missing SOPs? Where are customers unhappy? Where am I not charging enough? Where are there blind spots in my business that I need to be thinking about that you probably know, but you just haven't told me because I never asked you?
Right.
Now you're able to leverage all this stuff that's, just because something is 95% off doesn't mean it's a good deal unless you use it. But now if you know what to do, now you can take advantage of this land grab where all these dollar bills are only a nickel.
Yeah. And Dennis, you have a wonderful YouTube channel called the Dennis U YouTube channel. And you teach a lot of this stuff in that YouTube channel. You have the marketing mechanic videos, which are very popular, but you also go into other one-off videos of teaching how to do this exact thing that we're talking about.
Yeah, there's hands-on, like I'm literally demonstrating live how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
How do I organize my inbox? How do I build a website? How do I negotiate a deal? How do I, there's literally, it's not just like theoretical stuff that I heard from someone else. Like, this is real stuff I'm demonstrating live. And our weekly coaching, you see I log in live and I show let me show you what I did this morning. Here it is. Right?
You took all of Ethan Van Heye's articles and turned them into, podcast episodes and turned them into articles.
I didn't talk about theoretically how you might do it.
Yeah, you
did it.
Yeah. He now has all of those articles.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, they're great. So if someone wants to learn these things, they go to your YouTube channel. What's like the first, where do they start?
If you go to the youtube.com/the @ Dennis Yu, which is how all YouTube channels are and then their name, you'll see the first featured video there is the overview of the marketing mechanic. And I explain how the episodes are laid out. And so from a search engineer's point of view, the idea of being a marketing mechanic, instead of like you talking to the salesperson about the car, when you talk to the mechanic about how the car actually works, you have a deeper understanding of what the car can do and what it can't do. And that's how we think about the marketing machine. It's an engine. And you could talk to the salesperson about that, and they'll tell you like whatever that they read from the brochure, which you could Google it yourself, or understand what kinds of things can you get the car to do that you didn't think they didn't even know are possible.
Yep. Or that they didn't think that they could do themselves.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite parts about the marketing mechanic videos is really showing business owners, contractors, that you can do your own marketing.
And you don't have to be a genius like George.
And you don't have to be a genius like Dennis. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again. Yeah. This is one of many episodes that we always love to do.
Yeah.
And we're at the lovely hotel of some kind that I forgot the name of.
It's the Embassy Suites.
There we go. Embassy Suites in Alpharetta, Georgia. We just today went and talked with Brad Strawridge of Capital City Roofing and talked about this exact same thing of how are you using currently, Brad, in your business, agents and AI capabilities to further yourself along. He actually just spent 3 days or so messing with anti-gravity and to build his roofing website from the ground up, a brand new website for his roofing business, plus a website for his licensing model, Capital City Roofing licensing model business, same thing. And also there was one more that I'm forgetting about, but another website of some kind. Maybe it was for the nonprofit, but I'm not 100% sure.
Feeding the Future.
Yes. And he was able to do this in 3 days using anti-gravity, and not saying that Brad is not a smart person, he's a genius, but he is not an AI expert. He actually told us today, he said, you know how I actually learned how to do all this stuff? I asked.
Yeah.
And who did he ask? He asked the model he was working in.
Yeah.
Because he said, I don't know anything about building websites. I don't know how to host them. I don't know what to do. And so he started asking. He said, I want to build my own website using this model that we have here. How can I start doing that? And it started listing out the steps. Okay, you need to log into your GitHub and set up your hosting model. And he's like, what's GitHub? And it explained it to him. So at the end of the day, the culmination of the second half of this episode, I guess you could say, is be a student of the game. Never stop being a student of the game. Never stop learning about what you can and can't do or what you can and don't think you could do with these models. And right now, leverage all of this craziness and all of this news and all of this bickering and fighting back and forth between all of them to your advantage, because they're discounting what they have at a huge rate right now. And I have been historically a ChatGPT user. I'm now going to start, not abandoning ChatGPT or OpenAI, but now start using this Claude 20 Max plan, and I'm going to tell my team, hey, you should really be investing in this plan that we're going to start providing to you because the value is there. And at the end of the day, you can get the same work done.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And the beauty is it's the same thinking. It's the same way you operate. Just like, if you've driven Toyota your whole life, you love Toyota and your whole family, your mom has a Camry and your brother is a Civic or no, that's Honda. Yeah. But it's a Corolla, right? Let's say you're very loyal to Toyota. But then for one day, for some reason, you move to a new town and there's only Hondas in this town, and now you drive a Prelude. Well, don't you think that even though you've only driven a Camry for your whole life, don't you think you could probably drive an Accord or a Prelude or the equivalent? What is the Honda Odyssey minivan versus the Toyota Sienna? Don't you think no, but it's I don't want to learn Honda because Honda there's a steering wheel, there's a gas, there's a brake, there's a windshield, there's a turn signal. I promise you. You have years of driving with the Toyota. Promise you,
it will.
Okay, so the Honda, what is it the windshield wiper thing's a little different, but it's almost the same. Okay. Yeah.
Within 1 hour of use, you can figure out the nuance.
Yeah, it's
Same
not
thing
like
with the models.
going from Windows to Mac or Android to the iPhone. Okay, yes, I understand. That's way different. But these models, because they all are kind of the same thing. Right. Use whatever your flavor is that you like. Oh, I really like Grok because I like Elon Musk. Great.
Use it.
Use whatever it is. They're all converging in the same place. Okay.
Yeah. Brad said something awesome today, which was in context of CRM. he always gets asked the question, what CRM is the best to use?
Yeah.
And he says, the one that you're going to use.
Yeah.
Same thing with these models. What's the best model for this? What's the best model for, which model should I use if I own this type of business?
Yeah.
Whichever one you're actually going to go use.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you are going to use any of them, use the 20x max plan from Claude because you're getting so much value.
I was a D1 athlete,
they should sponsor
believe it or not, 20-some years ago. And
Really?
people would ask.
Track?
So what?
Cross country?
Yeah, track and cross country.
Awesome.
Yeah. I had a 407 mile.
There you go.
Yeah. And people would ask, well, what's the best like training shoe for base distance? Is it Nike? Is it Adidas? Is it Saucony? Is it like, oh, it's because, LeBron James can dunk and play basketball because he's wearing, LeBron James in flip-flops can dunk all over you, right? Even if you have the latest space shoe or whatever, lightweight jumping, And so it's not the tool, it's the chef, right? It's not the shoe, it's the athlete, right? I mean, you take Usain Bolt. Let's say Usain Bolt barefoot, and then you wear the latest Nike Dragonfly spikes that weigh like 5 ounces and are like super fancy, right?
Yeah.
Who's gonna win?
I might be close. I might catch him at the end. No, Usain's gonna whoop my ass.
Yeah, barefoot.
Yeah.
I mean, he could even be wearing Crocs and he'll still whoop your ass, right? And so that's how it is with tools. The tools are all getting to the point where it's the user of the tool that's the differentiator.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm using Grok that I somehow can beat you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that he has 30 years of experience on top of my 3. So.
Or I have better connections. Just because I'm older doesn't mean I'm better.
True.
And in fact, in tech, it's usually seen
It's usually the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.